The warning: no one told you about carbohydrates. What if I told you that the same food doctors and nutritionists tell you to avoid at all costs could actually be the key to restoring your health? Millions of people live with insulin resistance without even knowing it. They feel tired, gain weight without understanding why, are constantly hungry, and by the time they realize it, they're already on the road to type 2 diabetes. What do most people do? They cut carbs entirely. It seems logical, but it's not that simple. What no one says is that the human body was designed to use carbohydrates as energy. The problem is not the food itself, but the dysfunctional metabolic state we create over the years. And here is the surprising part: there are specific moments when carbohydrates stop being villains and turn into powerful allies against insulin resistance. Today, you will discover how to use exercise to turn your body into a glucose-burning machine without overloading the pancreas and without dangerous blood sugar spikes. If you want to lose weight, restore your energy, prevent chronic diseases, and even reverse insulin resistance, stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal may completely change the way you see food. The enigma of insulin resistance and the hidden role of carbohydrates in training. Imagine living in a world where the most basic food in our diet, carbohydrates, becomes a silent poison inside the body. This is the reality for millions of people with insulin resistance. They eat, but their cells refuse to take in the energy. The result is glucose circulating in the blood, inflammation, weight gain, and a rising risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even neurodegenerative conditions. Many believe the solution is simple: cut carbs entirely, and indeed, reducing intake can bring quick results, lowering blood sugar and giving the pancreas a break. But here, as the detail few know, the human body is perfectly designed to use carbohydrates as its main energy source. The problem is not the carbs themselves, but the way the metabolism has been damaged. And here comes a nearly counterintuitive point. Under the right conditions, carbohydrates can stop being villains and actually become allies in restoring insulin sensitivity. The key? Exercise, especially when the muscles are fully active. What is insulin resistance? Really? Insulin is the core key that opens the doors of cells so glucose can enter and be used as fuel. When someone develops insulin resistance, this key no longer works well. The door stays shut, even with high levels of insulin circulating. In desperation, the body produces even more of the hormone, creating a vicious cycle. More insulin, less response, more strain on the pancreas. Studies show this process is closely linked to chronic low-grade inflammation and excess fat stored in the visceral region and liver. Samuel and Schulman, Cell, 2016. This means insulin resistance is not just about too much sugar, but about impaired cellular communication. The carbohydrate paradox. Here lies the controversy. If carbohydrates raise blood sugar, how could they possibly help solve the problem? The answer lies in understanding that metabolism is not fixed. It can be trained, reconditioned. And one of the most powerful moments for this is during exercise. When you move your muscles, especially with moderate to high-intensity training, the body activates a mechanism independent of insulin to absorb glucose. This process is called glucose transport, mediated by muscle contraction. And it happens because physical movement stimulates the relocation of glucose transporters, GLUT4, to the cell membrane, even without insulin. Richter and Hargreaves, Journal of Applied Physiology, 2013. In other words, exercise opens a second door for glucose to enter without depending on insulin. Intra-workout carbohydrates, when they stop being enemies. This is where carbohydrates gain a strategic role. During exercise, especially intense or prolonged sessions, small amounts of carbs consumed intra-workout can be absorbed and directed straight to the active muscle. This not only provides immediate energy, but also teaches the cell to use glucose correctly again, strengthening the metabolic machinery inside the mitochondria. The contracting muscle acts as a metabolic shortcut, allowing glucose to enter and be burned without requiring an extra insulin surge. A study by Holossi, 2005, showed that regular exercise can increase insulin sensitivity for up to 48 hours, and this effect is enhanced when moderate amounts of carbohydrates are available during physical activity. Another study published in Diabetes Care, Mikines et al. 1988, confirmed that the combination of training plus controlled carb intake significantly improves glucose tolerance in insulin-resistant individuals. A practical example: watermelon during training. Imagine someone with insulin resistance drinking watermelon juice during a workout. For many, this would seem like a huge mistake. Carbs, sugar, in the middle of activity? That's going to make blood sugar worse. But the opposite happens. Watermelon, made up of about 92% water, provides a light combination of glucose and fructose in small amounts, along with citrulline, an amino acid that increases blood flow and helps deliver nutrients to the muscles. In this context, glucose doesn't build up in the blood, it is immediately pulled into the working muscle fibers. The result is quick energy, better hydration, and most importantly, a metabolic stimulus that helps reprogram how carbs are used. The necessary caution. This does not mean anyone should start consuming sugar indiscriminately during workouts. The practice needs to be controlled, individualized, and adapted to the type of exercise, intensity, and metabolic condition. For someone sedentary, with advanced obesity, and severe insulin resistance, the first step remains carb reduction and exercising while fasting or with minimal energy intake. For those in the process of reversal, small doses of intra-workout carbs can accelerate adaptation. The important thing is to understand that carbohydrates are not the enemy. The true enemy is the inflamed, sedentary, and dysfunctional metabolic environment created over the years. Practical strategies to restore insulin sensitivity with carbs in training. If in the first part we understood that carbs can be used strategically during exercise instead of being enemies, now we need to go further. After all, how do we apply this in real life? How can we adapt these strategies for different people, from diabetics to athletes, without falling into traps? Training. While fasting versus training with carbs. There is a clear difference between training on an empty stomach and training with intra-workout carbs. Training while fasting increases the body. The secret is quantity and context. It's not the carb alone that determines the outcome, but the timing of consumption and the metabolic state of the body. The sensitivity cycle: fasting, training, and carbs. We can think of this process as a cycle. 1. Fasting or low carb improves baseline insulin sensitivity. 2. Intense training opens the extra door for glucose entry without insulin, intra or post-workout carbs. Reinforce glucose use inside the muscle, retraining metabolism. Repeated consistently, this cycle can reverse years of poor metabolic adaptation. What studies say? Several studies confirm the effectiveness of this strategy. Mikines et al., Diabetes Care, 1988. Exercise plus carbs improves glucose tolerance more than exercise alone. Holose, J. Physiol, 2005. Insulin sensitivity can remain elevated for up to 48 hours after exercise. Van Prooijen et al., J. Physiol, 2010. Fasting workouts increase fat oxidation and improve metabolic response. Zevi et al., Cell, 2015. Glycemic response is highly individual, reinforcing the need for personalization. Practical conclusion. What we've learned so far is that carbohydrates are neither absolute enemies nor unquestionable heroes. They are tools. The secret lies in knowing when and how to use them. For those with insulin resistance, training is the ideal scenario to turn a potential problem into a solution. Small intra-workout carb doses, combined with intense exercise, can trigger the reactivation of the cell's ability to use glucose. The goal is not to completely eliminate carbs, but to retrain the body to handle them properly. With patience, monitoring, and gradual adjustments, it's possible to transform metabolism and restore health. Now you know, carbs are not your enemies. The true villain is the inflamed, sedentary, and dysregulated metabolic environment. Exercise opens a secret door in your cells, and at that moment, small amounts of carbs can become a weapon of transformation. The secret lies in balance, alternating fasting workouts to improve baseline sensitivity with sessions where you introduce strategic carbs, retraining your body to use them as fuel instead of poison. This is a mindset shift. It is about no longer seeing nutrition as a list of prohibitions, but starting to view food as tools to hack your metabolism. Now, I want to know from you, have you ever tried cutting carbs completely? Or have you noticed a difference when you consume them at specific times, like during training? Leave your comment below, because your experience can help others going through the same challenge. And if this video made sense to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell to get future content. Share this video with someone who needs this information. Health is built in community, and here, you're never alone in this journey. Support our channel, and check the pinned comment below to see how.